Hi guys, today we're going to look at a question as part of the follow-up to your homework, exercise 3.2 question 10, because a few of you seem to have difficulty with that. So let's just dive in. Okay, here we've got two parts. We've got to solve the equation 3y is equal to 8 plus 3 divided by y. And then we've got to use that answer to solve the equation 3x to the power of a half is equal to 8 plus 3x to the power of minus a half. So let's look at part A. Now, the key to doing this is to understand that if we multiply through by y, we can actually convert this into a quadratic equation. So just watch. If I multiply the left-hand side by y, I get 3y squared. If I multiply the right-hand side by y, I get 8y plus 3. Right? A little bit of rearranging onto the left-hand side will give me 3y squared minus 8y minus 3 is equal to 0. Now, of course, you can solve this using the quadratic formula, and that is perfectly fine. But we can also try to factorize this. Right? Now, there are some clues to how we can factorize this. First of all, we know that 3y and y, or we can guess that 3y and y must be there because these two will multiply together to give 3y squared. Moreover, we also know that we need two numbers that go here and here that will multiply together to give minus 3. And so there are only two alternatives that we can have. We can either have plus 1 and minus 3, or minus 1 and plus 3. And what we find out is if we do a bit of playing around, that if we put minus 3 here and plus 1 here, not only do those multiply together to give minus 3, but they will also give us the minus 8y term there. Why is that? Well, because if we do 3y times minus 3, we will get minus 9y. And then if we do plus 1 times by y, we will get plus y, which will equal to minus 8y. Okay, so I wanted to do that with you because I think one of the things I've noticed by looking at your homework is some of you are still a bit rusty on quadratics and particularly how to factorize them. I suggest that if that's you, go back, do some quadratic exercises and try to get a handle on how you can factorize. I think this will be really helpful as you progress in. Okay, well, if we've got to this point, then we know that there are two solutions, right? Either 3y plus 1 is equal to 0, in which case y is equal to minus a third, or we have that y minus 3 is equal to 0, in which case y is equal to 3. So we've got our two solutions to part A. Y is equal to minus a third, or y is equal to 3. Well, then let's think about how we can do part B, right? So we're going to use this answer to solve the equation 3x to the power of a half is equal to 8 plus 3x to the power of minus half. Well, I think the best thing to do here is to just rewrite this, not using the indices, but using what they represent. And we know that x to the power of a half means the square root of x. And we know that x to the power of minus a half, well, the minus sign means 1 divided by. So that's going to be 3 divided by the square root of x. And then hopefully it shouldn't be too difficult to see that if we compare this equation here and this equation here, well, they're basically the same. It's just that y can be substituted for root x, right? So in this particular equation, we can say let y equal root x. Now, we already know the solutions in terms of y, right? We know that y is either equal to minus a third or y is equal to 3, right? We got that from the previous questions. So we can just then say that the square root of x is equal to minus a third, or that the square root of x is equal to 3. Okay? And therefore, we can actually solve to find x. We can solve to find x. We can square both sides here, and we would get 1 upon 9, right? Because Minus a third times minus a third is positive 9. And we can square both sides here, and we will get 9. Now, I need to speak for a little bit about why the answer in the back is only this number here, x is equal to 9, and not x is equal to 1 divided by 9. Now, the reason for that is that if we were to write the square root of x here, right? To write the square root of x, or the square root of 9, in functions, we would only take the positive value, right? So the square root of 9 there would be 3, okay? And that's fine because that corresponds with this solution here, right? The square root of 9 is 3. But over here, right, if we were to apply the same rule, and we were to take positive the square root of x, right, we would have positive the square root of 1 upon 9, which is equal to positive a third. And that doesn't correspond with what we've got here, because the solution that's valid is not positive a third, but negative a third. So I know it's a little bit strange. I do understand that, because what we're sort of saying is that the square root of x is negative a third is a solution, and the square root of x is 3 is a solution, but only x equals 9 is a solution, and x is equal to 1 upon 9 is not a solution. The reason for that is this sort of slightly odd rule that if we take the square root in a function, we only mean the positive square root. So if you were one of those people who are kind of a bit confused by that or a bit stumbled by that, there's nothing wrong with your method, and so forth. It's just understanding that this is a rule that applies to functions. So I'm sorry if you found that frustrating. Okay, guys. Well, what's the key thing? The key thing is learning to recognize that part A can be rewritten as a quadratic, and to recognize that part B is basically the same equation as the one in A, just with y replaced by the square root of x. If you've understood that, then you've understood the basic essence of the question. Okay? Thank you, guys. I hope that was helpful for you, and I will see you again next time.